And welcome back to the Sports Radio Man. Eric Wilson alongside Megan Price, John Shear, and my man Mike Caratanudo. We've been getting a lot of in the comments here. Uh, you know,
I
medical
just want to say I
staff.
appreciate all the comments. That's a
Yes,
lot of great
medical
comments. I
staff
appreciate.
did a wonderful job. Completely agree. We're talking about incidents that have happened, life-changing incidents that have happened on the field of play, whether it was the NFL, the NBA, or the NHL. Um, and Chris Pomey is saying Jerry Fisher,
Yuri,
the Red Wings.
Yuri Fisher. Yeah.
Yeah, Yuri. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cardiac arrest on the bench.
yeah. Thank
Um,
you for that. I mean, not that I, but
Uh,
yeah, when you
yep.
said that, because I'm like somebody literally had it on the bench, and I'm like, I didn't want to speak out of turn, Eric, and say who, but yeah, I mean, you just see these most random things. I mean, Eric, it even goes back to when you were young. I mean, remember? Well, I mean, I know Len Bias had the issue, but oh, they were talking about it yesterday too. I mean, you see like guys just like pass out, and it's like, I mean, it's
Y'all remember that kid, Wes Leonard
yeah,
in Michigan?
yeah,
yes,
and you
Right?
think
He was a senior, I think. Like he
right,
was
And you see refs
18
too.
maybe.
It happens to refs as referees as well.
yeah.
Right.
I
yeah,
mean, it's yeah, and like I said, as much as we rip the NFL, Eric, I'll say this, and a lot of times, I mean, things are deserved, but when you talk about protocols, and I mean, you know, being lucky enough at times to like be down on the field, like NFL wise, when you see protocols in certain areas, if they're telling you to like stay out of a certain area, but just like you don't want anything like this to happen. But like I said, I mean, every game, it's not just like, oh yeah, that's the trainer, that's the one doctor. They all meet, and with the referee too. So like,
Right.
it's that in and of itself. And I know it's a whole different rabbit hole with player safety, Eric. And this is one of those things where, again, I mean, a 2 million to 1 chance that happens with his heart, like I said, in a certain rhythm, getting hit there. But look, I mean, everything that they do, and again, at least there's the game day situations. Because, I mean, yeah, you heard all the ex players too say, yeah, it becomes a way of life. You become, not about being tough, but yeah, there are chances for injuries, ACLs, broken bones, stuff like that, concussions. But the fear leaves you because of what. Well, they said Marcus Spears said the fear almost has to leave you for you to take that next step, because you're not going to obviously play timid.
and I agree with you. And what I attribute that to, what he's saying is, I was having this conversation with someone earlier today. I said, it's one of those things where when you sign up for a job, and let's say it's a warehouse job, you know, do you really read the fine print that say you could
No,
be injured, subject but not limited to, and the last thing is death? I mean, we don't, our
Right.
minds just don't automatically go there.
No, you're
We
100%
we
right,
I,
Eric. We
I
go to
know
the
that
part.
every day in my
How much
job.
money do we get if we get injured? That's what people look at, which is
right.
terrible.
But that's the fact of reality, is that's
I
what
know
we
the
look at.
risks of my
Right.
job. I know.
But I'm saying, John, you still go do the
Yep.
job.
Yep. I have no
Even though
fear.
you know the
Yep.
risk, you still go do the job, which brings me, thank you all for teeing this up, because we have to move to week 18. Now, the NFL has come out and said that, the Bills Bengals game has not been rescheduled. The question simply is this: two teams that played on Monday night for less than one quarter are now being asked to go out and play again because the season is not over. And the season isn't over for them even after next week. Both of these teams,
right.
two top tier AFC teams, are going to be in the postseason, which means their play is extended. And the question that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, and hopefully y'all can help me, is how can we ask the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals to play their respective divisional opponents this Sunday and beyond, when I'm pretty sure all of them, their minds are focused on praying for Damar Hamlin and wanting to see, as we all said in the last segment, We want to see his eyes open. We want to see his fingers move. We want to see him just begin to come back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. No, I mean it's unfair. Like Eric, I mean everybody. I know, like we always see in movies, and you always have people and teachers. Not. I'm not saying yelling or in a negative way, but tell us, once you understand that life's not fair, you'll be a lot more accepting of things. Like, yeah, some people that I think you deserve a lot of great things that you may or may not have gotten, Eric. I think we all do, but at the same time, like, yeah, when you look at the conversation of this, which to everyone's point is really hard to have because the Bills, I mean, it's their teammate, the Bengals obviously being a part of it. But when you look at it, people always say, the world's going to keep turning, and not that they're not thinking or not praying for, but I think the NFL could handle this away. I mean, everybody had ideas. So my short idea was forget the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl. At this point, you can make it 1 week. You could have
That's exactly what I said last night.
Yeah, but and my apologies because I was working.
Me and you right on the same page.
But
man.
no, but my point though is, John, I don't know if you said it like this. My point to you guys is, and everybody watching, is that I would have taken the Week 18 games and pushed them back to next week. The only game that would have happened would have been this coming Monday night or Tuesday night, depending. But I'm saying because of what it means, not because I would think they want to play it, but because of what it means, it would just be the Bills and the Bengals playing on Monday or Tuesday night, and that's Week 17 done. So everybody gets an extra week bye. I mean, I get the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl is great, but
that's the only place.
Right? I don't think.
No, I agree.
I think
nowhere else.
Because Eric, when we were kids, remember? I mean,
well,
it was like
there's something
1 week forever.
There's something that you can do, and it's a little more complicated than what y'all are talking about, but it would still keep everything on its schedule except for maybe 3 games. You could go ahead and schedule the rematch of the Bills Bengals for next Thursday. Play Week 18 as is. Next Thursday, because there's no Thursday night game, right? The divisional round starts on 14th, which is a Saturday. So go ahead and have them play their matchup, mix that up. So then they're not behind at all. And you just move whatever matchup they were going to have in the divisional round to Tuesday the following week. And then you're still on schedule with your playoffs.
If you play on a Tuesday, then you have a short week if you survive.
I understand.
Following week. That's not
but
fair.
They could play on a Monday.
You're not gonna. Okay, but no. Here's my thing, John. You're not gonna get anything fair out of this.
Right,
There's
but you can't have a team go into a playoff game on a short.
But
week
listen.
With 4 days rest, you can't do that.
It can be more than 4 days. If they play Thursday and then if they play Thursday, then they go play Tuesday. Like it's 4 days. It's 5 days. So like, I mean, it's not fair. But I mean, that is another way to keep them on schedule. That is an option. But I think what y'all suggested about shortening the time in between the Super Bowl is the most logical. But it's too late. They haven't done it. They would have already pushed Week 18, and they haven't.
No. What I think they should do is do week 18 normally, and then the week after that is just Bills Bengals. And then the week after that's the playoffs, and that pushes everything forward a week. Conference championship is the week between the Super Bowl and what would have been conference championship. Then you play a Super Bowl the very next week. That's what I think.
Well, my other solution, Eric, and I don't want you to fall out of your chair because you know me, and I've said this to Eric for years. He knows this. I think every kid that starts playing sports, everybody that plays up until they're 10 deserves a trophy. After that, if you don't win, guess what? You don't get a trophy. End of it. But in this case, I just say it's unprecedented. People say they should just call the game a tie, move forward. I'm saying screw it. Give everybody a trophy. Give both of them a win. Give both of them a win.
Stop it.
How does that? Okay, so
how does that affect seeding?
Exactly, that was my question because
here's the
thing.
They still have to win Week 8. They'd all still have to win.
The Chiefs are screwed then.
No,
okay, so are the Ravens.
If the Bills lose Week 18 and the Chiefs win, the Chiefs would have the number 1 seed.
Hold on. I'm going to focus on the Baltimore piece of it, because Baltimore right now is a game and a half behind Cincinnati. We don't know what the outcome of Monday night was going to be. And I feel like before you ask the Bengals and the Ravens to play each other, there needs to be some sort of conclusion to the Bills versus the Bengals. Listen, I'm going to say this, and if I get blasted on it, y'all see my Twitter and IG handle. I don't give a damn. The Bills are beating the Patriots, okay? That's a foregone conclusion. And I'll say it. You can book that, okay?
Yes.
I'll say it.
Come on, beat them Patriots.
Guaranteed.
What I'm saying to you is I don't feel that the Baltimore Ravens, whether they have Lamar or don't have Lamar, they are the ones who will get emphatically, royally screwed because of what transpired. And granted, I'm not taking anything away from Damar Hamlin. I'm that is my number one priority.
But we have to look at the reality of.
But when I put my business hat on, I have to look at it and say, before we determine something like this, we need to make sure that this piece over here is handled. Now, whatever the league decides to do, you're absolutely right, Megan. It ain't going to be fair. No matter what the league decides to do.
There's no way it's going to be fair.
There's no way it's going to be fair unless we take Mike's idea. This coming Sunday, January 8th, the only game that is played is Cincinnati versus Buffalo. And to John's point, everything else gets pushed back. To me, that's the only way I see it being fair for all. Yes, it gives the other 30 teams another week to rest, which some teams are going to be very thankful for. However, when you get down to it, now on February 4th, when you were supposed to have a break, when we are down to the final two teams, you immediately go from your conference championship immediately to Arizona, giving you no time to rest. But
That's
you don't
NFL.
do it during the regular season.
Yeah.
You get one bye week. So,
when did they change it? When I was young, I always remember they didn't have that break. But I mean, I'm getting
that's what I'm saying. I mean, they started going to 2 weeks. I know when the Cowboys, and not making this about the Cowboys, I'm saying when I was at ASU, Eric, my freshman year, you know this. I mean, the Cowboys played the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That was my freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
So there was 2 weeks between the game then, Megan. So I would say like the mid 90s, maybe to the and maybe they experimented because there was 1 week. Eric, the one thing I want to say about the Ravens, though, and inevitably, I mean, yes, the Bengals did. If the Bengals did win that game, wishing this horrific thing never would have happened to Damar. But if the Bengals did win that game, then yes, they have a shot at the number 1 seed. John, my point is, if you give them both a win, yes. To Eric's point, where I push back about the Ravens is they have no shot at the number 1 seed in a bye anyway. So they're playing in that first week of the playoffs anyway.
Right, but they have a shot at the division and a home playoff game. If the Bengals lose to the Bills, then this Sunday would be for the division.
Well, like Megan, like we said, though, there's nothing that's fair. That's right. Okay.
But why should the Ravens get
Okay, so how about this? John, how about this? Okay, I'll amend my point, because to me, the Ravens, again, yes, I know Denzel. I love Denzel's comments.
Like these comments, no offense, but the comments make no sense to me. Saying, well, the Ravens did it to themselves. No, you can't say that. Because but
what I'm saying is, when we're talking about a number 1 seed and the only bye, I'm focusing on that. And I get what you're saying about the Ravens. I understand, because yes, it could
it's
be
not fair to them.
Yes, it could be a home game. How about this?
It's not going to be fair to anybody. Here's the thing: everybody is sitting here and they're concerned about how Damar is, right? And we're saying like this is where our focus has to be. We have to be focused on his health, right? Okay, then if that's the truth, then you're not allowed to sit there and say that you care that much about seeding when it's almost all the way set. But I'm just saying, if we're keeping it real, then I mean, you're just not. It's one or the other.
They don't have to be exclusive. Like, they don't have to be.
It's not going to be. There's going to be at least 2 or 3 teams that this affects, and it's not going to be fair.
But the NFL is going to keep going on. It's not like.
But here's the thing, right?
That's
why you're right, John. So here's the thing: if Cincinnati beats Baltimore, right, and Buffalo beats New England, and I'm with Eric. I'm just going to say, Eric, I second you booking it, so we can take it to vote. But Buffalo beats New England. If both Buffalo and Cincinnati win, so Buffalo already has the number 1 seed anyway. If they were to win, even if they win, they're going to be 13-3. So if they both win, especially in the Cincinnati case, if Cincinnati wins and Baltimore has no chance for the division, obviously, and they're still in the playoffs, but if they both win, I say the NFL says, you know what? It's unicorns. And for DeMar, they both get wins for what they experienced.
No, but Mike, what if you go into that game if you're the Ravens and you're like,
I'm saying after the game.
No.
If the Bengals win.
No, I'm saying before the game is even played. Eric, let me ask you this. If you're a Ravens fan, you go into that game and you're a game and a half out this coming Sunday, by the way, I wanted to make sure I pointed out, the NFL made sure it's 1 o'clock that game. It's not, which means NFL is telling you it's not a priority. Because if they put a game at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, week 18, typically that means it's not a priority. It's either Sunday night or 4:25 is what they'll typically do for the important games. So
but there's 2 games on Saturday, so that leaves 4 less.
But on Sunday, week 18, they always move the important games to 4:25. That's what they do. They made this as a 1 o'clock game. Anyway, Eric, if you're the Ravens, and you're a game and a half out, and you're not sure if this Bengals Bills game is going to be played, do you even play Lamar? You have no shot at the division going into Sunday. What the hell are you going to play Lamar for?
No, you don't.
So now, here's my thing.
Now, Mike's point.
Are you willing to make these? Are you willing to make these concessions and have to deal with whatever we have to deal with just to make sure that we focus on DeMar? Then, if you're a Ravens fan, then you just got to say this is how it's shaped.
DeMar's out of this conversation. No offense. Like, this is we're talking about.
It has to be part of it. No, it has to be part of it.
They don't got to be mutually. They don't got to be a thing. Like right now, we're talking about the seeding, and remember, like you guys said, well, it doesn't matter if the Ravens, they're in the playoffs already. No, it matters, because if the Ravens don't get a playoff game, that affects their chances of moving on in the playoffs. The probability of winning when you have a home playoff game is higher than a road game.
Oh, wait, hold on. We just got this in. The Baltimore-Cincy game says TBD on the schedule.
No, it's 1 o'clock. I just checked right before the show started. It's 1 o'clock. Okay. Anyway, so that affects things, because if you have a home game, we all know that your probability of winning goes up. Money, that matters. You get money for a home playoff game as opposed to being on the road, being a higher seed. So these things matter, in the playoffs. Like, if you get to the Super Bowl,
have to make sacrifices.
If you get to the Super Bowl and you win the Super Bowl, that affects your franchise long term. Like, all these things matter. And so by guaranteeing the Ravens have no shot at the division, because you were banking on Cincy hopefully losing, so you could go into this game winning the division. Now the Ravens have no shot at the division, and they have to go on the road to start. I'm just saying, what did the Ravens do to deserve not having a shot?
Question about Lamar, they need to play Lamar because he'll be playing the next week. So even if it's just for a half, you need to play Lamar. Joe Burrow's going to be playing for Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, of course, Cincinnati has things to play for.
But
the
Lamar
Ravens
needs
now
to get back on the field. You're not just going to go
Ravens
back on
now. Don't have anything to play.
John,
for.
You answered your own question. When it comes to Lamar, he's been out for a few weeks. He needs to be on the field.
Okay, so what if you're the Eagles? Do you play Jalen Hurts? Like, do you take that chance? The Giants aren't probably playing their guys.
No, Brian Daboll made it very clear that he was playing his starters. Whether he plays them for a half or he plays them for the full game, it doesn't matter. Brian Daboll has gone on record and said he is playing his starters. Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to play them for the entire game. Right. But going out there, in answer to your question, does Jalen Hurts play? Yes, Jalen Hurts plays, because
even if it's for a half, absolutely.
The number one seed is up for grabs. And John, we had this conversation. Well, we didn't have this conversation. I kind of just shut you down last night and made it very clear how I felt about that matchup. But what I am saying to you is, again, the Eagles-Giants game's a 1 o'clock game.
No, it's 2:25. I just looked.
It's 4:25. Well,
4:25.
yeah, 2:25 for you, 4:25 for us here on the East Coast.
Your time.
No, that's fine. But I knew what he meant. So yes, so there are implications. But the Dallas game is also, if I'm correct, also at 4:25. Okay, so the NFC East will be decided by 7:30. Okay. Right. So then the Sunday night football game, which is Green Bay, Detroit, will be the final seeding. We will figure it all out.
Right.
Yep.
I just think that with how things are at right now, I have to, in good conscience, bad conscience, whatever, I have to side with Megan in this and say someone is going to lose out. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if that's someone that loses out is the Baltimore Ravens, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Not on this one. And y'all know I love Lamar. Let me be very clear.
But only because of the severity of the situation.
Because of the situation.
Because you can't take DeMar out of it. That's the thing. Right. The entire sports world is on hold right now. So either you care enough and you're willing to sacrifice and say that this is bigger than football, or you're not. It's one. That's it.
I respectfully disagree with that.
And then when you look at it too, here's the thing with the playoffs.
And it's not bigger than football.
John, I 100%. I'm not saying that.
Again,
I'm just saying that.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. If you're saying that, if you're saying it has to be fair like that, no, these sacrifices have to be made. It's not going to shake out
if you're
fair,
the Ravens,
because
exactly what
it's going to happen. No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Hold on. We're not rewarding.
Well, Mike said they both get
Cincinnati.
wins.
No, I amended it, John. I made an amendment to it. I said if they both win this week, if they both win this week, then they both get wins for last week. If they lose, then yes, to some point, either you're going to give them the NFL's going to say it was a tie, and we'll see what that affects percentages with, or they're gonna pick it up at 5:58 left in the first quarter and play, because Buffalo could still get the number 1 seed. So to me, it's not even about punishing Baltimore. I understand, but I'm just saying that's why I amended it. If you look at like I said, no one's ever had to deal with anything like this. And to Megan's point, yeah, like I'm normally I would say two things don't have to be exclusive, like you're saying, John, but with DeMar and what the NFL's saying and with what they've done to this point and so far, it is about him, and as it should be, and the Bills organization. I mean, you can't. It's still going to have to go on. They're still going to have to play the games. Exactly. Absolutely. But my point to that is, and like Eric was saying too, like, it's not about punishing the Ravens. I mean, if everybody wants to get technical, when and Eric knows this, especially us being NFC East people, when our teams get hammered, oh, well, the Ravens let the Dolphins come all the way back. The Ravens
you can't do that.
But I'm saying they blew how many – it's a fact. How many double
digits
did
they blow? I'm not saying to punish them for that. I'm just saying if somebody says they did it to themselves, John, that's a fact. You blew huge double digits.
They should have won the ball games that they were supposed to win before week 18.
No, you can't do that. No, you can't
Why
do
not?
that.
Okay.
They still have a shot at the division. Why should they not have a shot at the division? Why?
If they lose this, okay, what part of if Cincy goes in and beats them, then they have no shot.
The season has to go
rewarded
on.
with the win for the Buffalo game, and if Buffalo wins, they should be rewarded for a win. If people don't like it, I'm with Megan. If it's about Damar Hamlin and seeing what's best, and for the psyche of both of those teams to get back on a field against each other, if we're going to talk about mental health, to see grown men, the last time I saw. I mean, you see, yes, championships and tears and all the emotion that comes over. But to see him looking at a fellow brother crying like that, the only time you see that, and you're going to sit there and say, so if they both win this Sunday, yeah, I don't know. People don't. Not everybody deserves a trophy. But in this case, guess what? because of the mental health part of it, they both get wins because since he would have beaten Baltimore.
And I'm not even saying to do that. Like, I'm not even saying give them a tie. I'm not even saying that. I think we should do exactly what y'all said and just lose the extra week in between the Super Bowl and push the schedule back.
Okay.
And that's the most fair. That's the most fair. But we haven't heard that from the NFL
so
yet.
We all agree from what we all just said, we all agree the NFL should push the season back a week to give Cincinnati and Buffalo the opportunity to play that game. And then week 18, we determine who goes what and where, because Playmaker brought up a good point. Cincinnati was leading at that game. We don't know what the outcome was going to be. But when that game stopped, Cincinnati, in fact, was winning 7-3.
Right. 5-15.
It's really dominant, actually.
But Ray can say it's ridiculous all I want. That's why I said my first idea, push it back a week. They're the only ones that play this week. Everybody else plays next week. And you leave it and you go from there. But
I agree.
How is
it so if the four of us and many other people,
when we've seen a lot of conversation, and Eric, I mean, I know you've probably seen it, John May, like just like even on Twitter, on different sites I've been talking about when people were like, yeah, you know, like now that people started talking about how this affects seating, it does suck to talk about, but yes, that's the other side to this, which makes it even worse. If you, like I said, push the Super Bowl back a week, but why is it so many of these protagonists are like, well, yeah, I mean, if you're not going to play it, give both teams a tie. Because, you know, percentage-wise, a tie, if they both win this week and they get a tie for that game, Buffalo still locks up the number 1 seed. I think they said by like, I don't know, like even if Kansas City wins, which they probably should, but if the Raiders somehow upset the Chiefs, then it's a crazy point. But a tie percentage-wise, if they both win their Week 18 games, somebody like, and I didn't screenshot it because I'm a math nerd, as you know, Eric, but that was way too far out decimal point for me. But Buffalo, percentage point-wise, with that tie and their record, would still have the number 1 seed. But everybody's okay with giving them a tie. But if they both win this week, both will win.
So Darnell said it's mostly the reverse play Week 18 schedule, and then next week should be Buffalo, Cincinnati alone. I only agree with that if you tell these teams that that's going to happen before Sunday happens. Don't let the Ravens rest their guys because they're like, well, we can't win the division now. And we might as well rest our guys right before the playoffs start next week. And then after they play their game Sunday, oh, hey, surprise Ravens. Guess what? There's a game next week Cincinnati has, and that determines if you win the division. But you rested your guys, so now you don't have a shot at the division. So you got to tell them
Raymond
that
says
that
Sunday you can't
comes.
tie. There's ties in football all the time, right?
No, but just don't.
No, he's saying 2 teams can't win. If we're talking about Ray's comment here, he's
but
like,
inevitably, okay, right.
But there's ties. There's ties. So I mean,
a tie is not a win. A tie is not a win.
It's not a win. But percentage point wise, right? Percentage point wise, Buffalo still gets number 1 seed. Everybody says give them ties. Okay, if Buffalo and Cincinnati both win this week, and again, John, to your point, Cincinnati wins and they sit there and they play their starters, and even if Cincinnati wins, Baltimore they still win the division. But I'm just saying, Buffalo and Cincinnati both win this week, and you give them both a tie. Percentage point wise, it still puts Buffalo in the number 1 seed.
Okay, so I am going with what we all agreed on is the fact that, and I'll even amend it to John's point. The NFL between now and Friday evening need to make it very clear what is going to happen with this Buffalo and Cincinnati game. Because Saturday, the Chiefs play, and the Chiefs are affected by what happens in Buffalo and Cincinnati. All right. So by Friday evening, the NFL needs to make it very clear. Here is our statement on what happens moving forward with Buffalo and Cincinnati, whether they play it the following week, whether they play it on next Thursday to what Megan is saying, or she has suggested, whatever the case may be, we need something from the NFL stating what's going to happen so that the players, the coaches, the organizations know how things are going to go. And ultimately, it only affects the AFC. It doesn't affect the NFC. The NFC could play all on Sunday because guess what? Come hook or crook, we're going to know what 1 through 7 looks like after Sunday night. It really only affects the AFC. Primarily, it affects Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens. So,
right, okay,
it's tough. It's tough, and like I said, and no matter what they decide to do, it's not going to be fair to somebody. You're going to have some team somewhere that's going to say, "Oh, it didn't happen right because we didn't get this or we didn't get that." It's going to affect them. It's going to happen, and so they're just going to have to make a decision.
And what I will say, Megan, is to a point that was made earlier, and I think it was made by you, is the fact that, listen, there were games that teams were supposed to win and didn't win. Mm-hmm. And John, you can shake your head all you want, but the fact of the matter is we've always, all of us on the sports arena.
Anybody that Green Bay played in the second half of the season, you should have won.
Stop.
It's the truth.
Cowboys
explain to me, John. Explain to me how San Francisco, with Mr. Irrelevant, is winning games.
Hey, be nice to Purdy.
Let's call it what it is.
That is a weird season. That's all I can explain.
Well, clearly.
NFC South just, Tom Brady doesn't know how to play football, it seems. And
now all of a sudden him and Aaron Rodgers decide they want to play so they can slide into the postseason. And someone, I know who it was. It was my man, Danny Thompson. He said last night on Say What, Say It Again, Brady and Rodgers, watch, those two are somehow going to slide themselves into the Super Bowl. And I was like,
right.
What?
They can't both get there.
No,
but one of them might. They can mess around and, you got a home team and a road team. So
Conference championship.
Please, no. Nobody wants that.
We're not trying to go that far.
No.
I'm going to tell you
so then why? If that's the case, if nobody wants that, then why did you say I was wrong for saying that anybody Green Bay played in the second half of the season should have won?
That has nothing to do with what I just said.
Listen, this is what I'm going to say.
The Cowboys blew that game. Eric's smiling because the Cowboys blew that game. I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now. Let me be very real.
Wait, hold on. Didn't Philly lose to Green Bay too? We both in the same boat.
No, we beat Green Bay.
Oh, okay.
I believe they stomped them.
We had 3 losses the last 2 weeks between Dallas and New Orleans, and we lost to the Commanders. Those are our 3 losses.
Actually, Rayland, you want to go there? Actually, this does affect Miami. You want to go there? Sure, it does. If Kansas City
don't
Chiefs
tell us
win
about
Saturday,
the 100%.
You wanted to start this. This is Rayland's fault. So don't blame me. I didn't bring up my team once. He did. If Kansas City wins on Saturday and they're a game up on Buffalo, that means Buffalo can rest their guys, right? I mean, they can't get the number 1 seed. They can rest their guys on Sunday, which means the Patriots could easily beat the Bills, which would knock the Dolphins out. So, yeah, this does affect Miami, Raylan. So you want to come in here and run your lips about my team, make me talk about my team when I haven't mentioned us all night. Yeah, it does affect us. So thank you. Miami could get screwed out of this whole thing, and I wouldn't let you guys hear the end of it.
Mike, hold on.
That would be the biggest
I'm going to
travesty
give
out of all
you
these
your
teams.
chance to respond, but I'm going to show love to our man Ray Lynn for his show, Monday nights, Ball Don't Lie. And when we come back, Mike, you can respond.